Good day, learners! Maayo na aga. This video will guide you in your statistics and probability lessons. The focus of this video is about formulating null and alternative hypotheses on population mean. So this video will guide you on how you are going to formulate null and alternative hypotheses on population mean. Disclaimer: this video is for educational purposes only. This shall serve as support learning material to maximize or improve learners' performance in statistics and probability. No copyright infringement is intended. Borrowed materials, music, pictures, brand names, trademarks, etc. included in this video are owned by the respective copyright holders. The author do not represent nor claim ownership over them. The learning competency for this video: the learner formulates the appropriate null and alternative hypothesis on a population need. So therefore, after watching this video, you will be able to formulate appropriate null and alternative hypothesis. So let us start with statistical hypothesis. Now, what is a statistical hypothesis? A statistical hypothesis is a statement about a parameter and deals with evaluating the value of a parameter. In statistical hypothesis testing, there are always two hypotheses, the null and the alternative hypothesis. So always remember that in hypothesis testing, we have the null and alternative hypothesis. And in this video, you will be taught on how you are going to formulate null and alternative hypothesis. Let's have the null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. So, ano ba ang pagkakaiba ng null and alternative hypothesis? So, null hypothesis at subscript 0, it states that there is no difference between population parameter such as mean, standard deviation, and so on, the hypothesized value. There is no observed effect. So, always remember, there is no observed effect. In the null hypothesis is often an initial claim that is based on previous analysis or specialized knowledge. While the alternative hypothesis, ang symbol niya po is at subscript A, it states that the population parameter has some statistical significance. On the other hand, sa null hypothesis, there is no difference. While in the alternative hypothesis, has some statistical significance, smaller, greater, or different than with the hypothesized value. And unlike null hypothesis, the alternative hypothesis, there is an observed effect. And the alternative hypothesis is what you might believe to be true or hope to prove true. So, tandaan natin, there is an observed effect. And ang symbol is subscript A po ang alternative hypothesis. So, paano mag-state ng null and alternative hypothesis? So, we have first, identify the parameter in a given problem. So, before we can state the null and alternative hypothesis, it is a must that you already know how to identify a parameter because it is needed in formulating null and alternative hypothesis. Next is identify the claim to be tested that may show up in null or alternative hypothesis. So you should identify your claim or the claim to be tested. And number 3, translate the claim into mathematical symbols or notations. After identifying the parameter, you have to set your claim or identify the claim to be tested and then translate this claim into mathematical symbols. And then formulate first the null hypothesis at subscript 0, then alternative hypothesis at subscript A based on the three different ways in writing hypothesis as is illustrated below. So ito po yung pwede na different ways in writing hypothesis. Okay po. First, the null hypothesis is mu is equal to k, and the alternative hypothesis is since equal siya, so ang alternative natin is not equal. While dito, ang null hypothesis natin at subscript 0, mu is less than or equal to k. So, less than or equal to k, pag yan ang ginamit natin sa null hypothesis, ang magiging alternative po natin ay greater than. Mu is greater than k. Dito naman po, pag ang ginamit natin mu is greater than or equal to k, then therefore, ang magiging alternative hypothesis natin ay less than. Mu is less than k. So, ito po ang tatlong possible ways of making or writing hypothesis. Ito po yung tatlong posible. Pag equal ang ginamit mo, not equal ang magiging alternative. Pag ang ginamit mo naman ay less than or equal to, ang magiging alternative mo po ay greater than. Pag ang ginamit mo naman na null hypothesis is greater than or equal to, ang magiging alternative mo po ay less than. Let's have the hypothesis testing common phrases. So, ito po yung mga common phrases na ginagamit. So, is equal to, is the same as, is exactly the same as, has not changed from. So, equal po yan. Ibig sabihin, ang pag not equal naman po, is not equal to, is not the same, is different from, has changed from. Pag greater than ang gamit natin, is increased, is greater than, is higher than, is above, is bigger than, is longer than, is more than, and then pag less than naman po is decreased, is less than, is lower than, is below, is smaller than, is decreased or reduced from, is not more than, and then pag greater than or equal to is at least, is not less than, is greater than or equal to, and is at most. Pag less than or equal to, is not more than, is less than or equal to. So yan po ang mga common phrases na pwede natin gamitin pag magko-conceptualize tayo or magpo-formulate ng null and alternative hypothesis. Let's have this illustrative example to better understand how we are going to formulate null and alternative hypothesis. First, the average weight of grade 11 students in senior high school is 169 centimeter. Is this claim true? So the solution, first identify the parameter which is the mean height of all grade 11 students. Since it is the population mean, use the notation mu. So you identify first the parameter and use its symbol. Then the claim in this example is that the average weight is 169 centimeter, which translates to U is equal to 169 and is considered as null hypothesis. Is means equal, so mu is equal to 169 or the population mean is equal to 169 and is considered as the null hypothesis. To formulate the alternative hypothesis, write the complement or opposite of the null hypothesis, which is the average weight is not equal to 169 centimeter. Previously, we have presented three ways. So kung equal yung ginamit natin sa null hypothesis, so ang gagamitin natin na alternative hypothesis is not equal. Therefore, ang magiging value niya is the mu is not equal to 169 centimeter as shown in the presentation below. So ito po yung magiging null hypothesis. The average weight of all grade 11 students is 169 centimeter as presented in this symbol. And the alternative hypothesis, the average weight of all grade 11 students is not 169 centimeter, or at subscript A, mu is not equal to 169. So Tandaan po, pag equal ang ginamit natin sa null hypothesis, ang gagamitin natin sa alternative hypothesis ay not equal. Next illustrative example, the average price per square meter of residential lot in an exclusive subdivision is above 15,000. A buyer wants to test the agent's claim. So the solution in this hypothesis, the parameter is the average. Therefore, you will use the symbol mu. The claim is above 15,000 can be written as mu is greater than 15,000 and greater than false at alternative hypothesis. So, ang greater than in the presentation of three ways na paggamit natin, ang greater than is an alternative hypothesis. Since you have already formulated the alternative hypothesis, the null hypothesis will be mu is less than or equal to 15,000 as complement of greater than. Kasi nga greater than ang ginamit na claims, ibig sabihin that is the alternative hypothesis which is greater than. So ang magiging null hypothesis natin, ang gagamitin natin is less than or equal to as shown in this presentation po. So ito siya, null hypothesis less than or equal to 15,000 or equal to 15,000. And then yung claim, ito po yung claim which serves as the alternative hypothesis, mu is greater than 15,000. So, tandaan natin yung three ways, pag equal, not equal, pag ang null hypothesis, ang ginamit ay less than or equal to, so greater than tayo. Pero pag ang ginamit naman is greater than or equal to, less than ang alternative hypothesis natin. So yun lang po ang kailangan natin tandaan in formulating null and alternative hypothesis. Another example po, so Holistic Fitness Center claims that its members reduced an average of 13 pounds after joining the center. An independent agency that wanted to check this claim took a sample of 40 members and found that they reduced an average of 12 pounds with a standard deviation of 4 pounds, determined the null and alternative hypothesis. So in this example, the parameter to be tested is the average and the claim is reduced by 13 pounds. The claim that pertains to the parameter has the notation of less than. Therefore, the claim is found at the alternative hypothesis and can be written as mu is less than 13. The null hypothesis would be, since ang ginamit natin ay alternative hypothesis which is less than, so ang gagamitin natin na null hypothesis is mu is greater than or equal to 13 or mu is equal to 13. So yan po ang null and alternative hypothesis of the given problem. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you have learned something. If you have queries on this topic, please ask me personally during our classroom interaction or message me through my messenger account. Keep learning. This is, again, your Sir Ronel.